400 kilometers above your head, a structure the size of a football field is racing around the Earth. It is moving at 28,000 kilometers per hour. That is fast enough to circle the entire planet once every 90 minutes. And inside it, human beings are living. They are eating, sleeping, and working in a place that should kill them in seconds. Just outside the walls, there is no air to breathe. There is no pressure. The temperature swings by hundreds of degrees. Space is one of the most hostile places we know. So how does the International Space Station keep people alive out there? How do you build a tiny bubble of Earth floating in the emptiness of space? That is what we are going to break down today. And by the end, you will see the station in a completely new way. The first problem is the most obvious one. Space is a vacuum. There is almost nothing out there. No air and no pressure at all. A human body cannot survive that, even for a moment. So the entire station is built as a sealed, pressurized container. The walls are made of strong metal, designed to hold normal air pressure inside, while the vacuum pulls at them from outside. In a way, the station is like a balloon, but instead of holding air in against soft rubber, it holds an entire atmosphere inside a wall of metal. Inside, the air feels just like it does on Earth. The astronauts do not wear spacesuits indoors. They float around in normal clothes, breathing normal air. There is another hidden danger, too. Tiny pieces of rock and debris fly through space at incredible speeds. Even a fleck of paint can hit like a bullet up there. So the station is wrapped in special shielding. These layers are designed to break apart a fast-moving particle before it can punch through the wall. The crew also watches for larger objects. When a bigger piece of debris comes close, the whole station can gently fire its engines and move out of the way. Every wall, every layer is a quiet defense against the emptiness outside. Now for the thing every crew needs the most: oxygen. There is no air to bring in from outside, so just like a submarine, the station has to make its own. And it uses almost the same trick. The station takes water and runs electricity through it. This splits the water into two gases, oxygen and hydrogen. The oxygen is released into the cabin for the crew to breathe. The hydrogen is either vented away or cleverly reused, which we will come back to in a moment. But splitting water takes a lot of energy, and here the station has a huge advantage over a submarine. It is bathed in constant sunlight. Enormous solar panels stretch out from the station like wings. They capture energy from the sun and turn it into electricity. That electricity powers the oxygen machines and almost everything else on board. In space, the sun becomes the station's endless power source. And there is a nice bonus. The station never runs out of the water it needs to make oxygen, because it recycles that water too. We will see exactly how in a moment. Just like on a submarine, making oxygen is only half of the story. Every breath the crew exhales fills the cabin with carbon dioxide. In a sealed space, that gas has nowhere to escape. If it builds up, it becomes dangerous. It can cause headaches, confusion, and worse. So the station constantly cleans its own air. Machines pull the cabin air through special materials. These materials grab onto the carbon dioxide and hold it, removing it from the air the crew breathes. The cleaned air is then pushed back into the station. This happens all day and all night, without stopping. The air the astronauts breathe is being recycled again and again. But the newest systems go one step further. Instead of just throwing the carbon dioxide away, they use it. Remember the leftover hydrogen from making oxygen? The station combines that hydrogen with the captured carbon dioxide. Through a clever chemical reaction, this produces water. That is right. The station can turn waste gases back into water. And in space, water is one of the most precious things of all. Because every drop of water is so valuable, the station recycles almost all of it. Nothing is wasted. The system collects moisture from the air, from washing, and even from the crew's sweat and breath. It all goes into a powerful purification machine. That machine filters and cleans the water until it is safe to drink again. In fact, the recycled water on the station is cleaner than a lot of the tap water down on Earth. On the station, the water the crew drinks today may have been part of the air they breathed yesterday. It sounds strange, but recovering almost every drop is what makes long missions possible. Without this system, the station would need a constant stream of water shipped up from Earth at enormous cost. Recycling turns a few thousand liters into a supply that lasts for years. We saw that the station gets its power from the sun, but there is a catch. As it orbits the Earth, the station passes into the planet's shadow every single orbit. For part of every 90-minute lap, there is no sunlight at all, so the station stores extra energy in large batteries. When it moves into darkness, those batteries keep everything running until the sun comes back. Then there is temperature. In direct sunlight, the outside of the station can become blazing hot. In shadow, it turns freezing cold. The swing is hundreds of degrees. To survive this, the station uses a cooling system. Liquid flows through pipes, carrying heat away from the equipment and the crew. Large radiators then release that heat into space. This keeps the inside of the station at a comfortable, steady temperature. There is one more thing that makes the station so different from a submarine. There is almost no gravity. Everything floats. This changes everything about daily life. Astronauts sleep in sleeping bags strapped to the wall so they do not drift into equipment. They eat food that sticks to spoons and drink from sealed pouches so nothing floats away. Even a spilled drop of water can become a problem in zero gravity. Floating also harms the human body. Without gravity, muscles and bones slowly grow weaker, so the crew must exercise for about 2 hours every single day. They strap themselves onto treadmills and machines just to stay healthy. Every task, from science experiments to simple repairs, has to be rethought for a world with no up and no down. Even the smallest tools have to be tied down or tucked away. If you let go of a wrench, it will not fall. It will simply float off and disappear behind a panel. So astronauts train for years to move and work in this strange floating world until it becomes second nature. Put all of these systems together and something incredible appears. A tiny, self-contained world orbiting our planet. The station makes its own oxygen. It cleans its own air. It recycles almost all of its water. It draws power from the sun and controls its own temperature. It is a complete life support machine wrapped around a human crew. And through it all, the astronauts look down at the Earth below, the very planet whose conditions they have to recreate piece by piece just to stay alive up there. The space station is more than a laboratory. It is proof that humans can build a home in a place that wants nothing to do with life. Think about what we have seen. A submarine survives the crushing deep by making its own world. A space station survives the empty vacuum in almost exactly the same way. Different places, the same brilliant idea. So here is a thought to leave you with. We have gone deep under the ocean and high above the sky. But what about the systems moving right past us every day? How does a single giant cargo ship carry enough to supply an entire country? That is the next video on System Logic. If you learned something new today, subscribe, because the world is full of invisible systems, and we are just getting started.